Welcome back, everybody, to episode number 224 of Behind the Ears Podcast. This is our fourth interview of the day during our live recording for our marathon show, which we were raising money for, Give Kids the World. This interview is with Aaron Rittmaster, the owner and operator of not only Mouse Master Travel, but Fantastic Memories Travel. But he also has this little Disney podcast called Diz Dad's Podcast, a fantastic show that Chris and myself have both been on, but you'll hear more of that in the interview. Thank you all for downloading the show, and we hope you enjoy.
You're listening to the Behind the Ears Podcast, because everybody does Disney differently. The Behind the Ears Podcast crew would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support. Hey everybody, it's Mr. Chris, and I got to tell you about Expedition Roasters. Listen, I'm a pretty big coffee drinker, just like a lot of you are, but these people have got coffee right. Their coffees are made from selectively sourced premium and specialty grade Arabica beans. They provide the absolute best flavor and aroma, and select roast even come directly from a single estate farm for a truly perfect cup that is never bitter. They've got awesome Disney-inspired flavors such as Roundhouse Roast, Route 66, Skipper's Brew, Dark Side Roast, Redhead Rum, and one of my favorites, Bobsledder's Brew. Listen, if you want to have the taste of Disney in every cup, give them a try today. ExpeditionRoasters.com, and Behind the Ears Podcast listeners gets an extra 20% off your first order by using the coupon code EARS20. That's right, EARS20. And you can find them over at ExpeditionRoasters.com. Brew your happy place. If you have a little one and you're going to Walt Disney World, you're going to need a stroller. I'll tell you what, KingdomStrollers.com is the place where you want to look into. I'll tell you, I've destroyed my fair share of strollers while at Walt Disney World, and those things are not cheap. But getting something from KingdomStrollers.com, they'll be able to help you pick out the perfect stroller for you. And the nice part is that because they're a Disney preferred provider, they'll be able to drop it off and pick it up right from your Disney resort at no extra charge. So if you don't want to necessarily destroy your stroller in the process and you want to have a great Disney vacation with your little one, contact KingdomStrollers.com and they'll set you right up. That's KingdomStrollers.com.
I'd like to introduce our next guest. And while I introduce my next guest, Chris is going to start it with him, and I'm going to step away for a second and be right back, because I literally will freak out if I sit here for another second, so I just need a quick break. He not only runs a fantastic travel agency called Mouse Master Travel that, specifically designed around Disney. He also, the outside of the company, will put you anywhere else in the world you want to go. That's called Fantastic Memories Travel. He also runs this little old podcast that I am a huge fan of, that we've been me and Chris both have been big listeners. We both have participated on some of his panels in the past, called the Diz Dad's Podcast. Absolute blast and an absolute pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Aaron Rittmaster. Just to the snaps. Sir, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
What's going on, Aaron? It's good to see you again. I haven't seen you in it's been a couple months since I've been a part of one of your awesome panels and over at the Diz Dad's Podcast, which I always like coming on because it's a great group of guys just to talk with, man. It's just always a pleasure.
Well, it's a lot of fun, Chris, and it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I had a bunch of stuff going on here, got a little bit behind with getting shows recorded and published. I feel awful about it. The last year has been the worst. In 6 years, it's the first time I've had problems getting things published, but I'm getting caught up. And it just so happens that the episode that went up basically a week ago tomorrow is the one you recorded with us on the dinner shows.
Oh, the dinner show episode, that was really epic. And for those of you who may not subscribe to the DizTaz podcast, first off, do subscribe to them. I'm assuming over at iTunes and other really awesome places to get your podcast. That was a really interesting conversation because we talked about the different dinner shows being Hoop-de-Doo, the Hoop-de-Doo Review. We talked about the Aloha dinner show,
Spirit of Aloha, and Mickey's Backyard Barbecue.
Right, that's right. And the funny part is that I think as all of us that were talking about it, I think by the time we were done, most of us were like stopping, like willing to actually say, you know what, maybe I'll give this other one a try. Or this it was actually it was one of those things where it's like, instead of like sticking to your guns, all of us were like, you know what, maybe I'll give that a try. With the exception, Mickey's Backyard Barbecue in August is probably just a bad idea.
Yeah, I think across the board we were convinced that Mickey's Backyard Barbecue in July, August is only for the tropical at heart, right?
Tropical at heart. That's a good way of putting it. Oh, that's pretty awesome. Well, I'm glad. First off, I'm glad. I'm the binge listener of podcasts, so I normally don't. I normally don't download them except for like once every 2 weeks. And then I have like hours of podcast listening. So I can't wait to hear how that one went. That was actually absolutely fun episode to record. While we're talking about that, what do you think is someone as a fellow podcaster? I mean, this is, I'm going to go ahead and go down this path a little bit. This is a great example. I mean, Aaron and Danny and I met through, Aaron running Mouse Master Travel, and also we were fans of each other's programs before that. And this is a great example of Disney podcasters coming together for mutually great causes. And I just think I just have to just give a shout out to not only you, but all the other podcasters that are joining us, because, every once in a while I'll see people post on different Facebook pages, what's the best Disney podcast out there? And I always stop and say, hey, you know what? It's not a matter of who's best. It's like, listen to them all and decide which ones you like. And because it's kind of like listening to a radio station, sometimes you're not going to hear the music you really want. So you're going to try something else. It doesn't mean that the other channel isn't good. It just means it's not what you want to listen to at the moment. And, every one of us podcasters brings something different to the table, and we all do something a little bit differently. And, we all have different focuses, and that's what makes podcasting great. And that's what I think makes Disney podcasting great. So with that kind of, intro, what are some of the things that you really love to talk about on your show, Aaron?
Well, I mean, I think what I like most really is the variety of things that we talk about on the show, because, we bounce around a lot, and I make an effort, at least when we're planning out topics, to try and keep it variety of different topics. Now, we do, I think, have a lot of fun talking food, like the dinner show podcast. That was great. We've done a lot of, restaurant talk and things like that. But if I was going to talk about sort of a particular group or category of shows I like to do a lot, we've got one coming up here, actually, starting with, I guess the first year that we were doing the podcast, maybe the second year, we started doing a tradition, at least, of doing a summer tournament. And so every summer, we take some aspect of Disney parks somewhere and we make a tournament out of it. So the very first one we did, what we called My Walt Disney World, right? And we did a tournament for the best, basically the single best Walt Disney World experience. And it was a really wide range of things. Well, we've cycled through. We did My Walt Disney World. We've done, we did a villains tournament the one year that, for whatever reason, summer didn't work, so we moved the tournament to fall. We did table service dining. That one was a blast. The table service dining tournament, although I think I gained 15 pounds recording that, because every time we finished a show, I was starving.
Yeah.
We did a Disneyland version of the My Walt Disney World, so the best Disneyland experience. We just last summer did Walt Disney World Resort Tournament. We considered doing a Disneyland Resort Tournament, but it only would have been one show. We did the most recent one. We did a Walt Disney World quick service dining tournament. Mm-hmm. Which, we kind of went into it thinking, okay, we'll do it because we feel like we kind of have to, like it's an area we haven't talked that much about, whatever. We ended up having a great time with it and really dug into it a lot more than I expected us to. There was more there. So that was a lot of fun. So we like I said, we've covered all these topics. This year, we're circling back. We decided it's been 6 years, so it's time to revisit. There's been enough change really at Walt Disney World that it's time to go back and see how that tournament comes out in a new, with a new set of contestants, so to speak. So I'm really excited. That one actually starts recording like later this week. We'll start recording that. And we just started with this last with the last tournament we did a new format for the beginning of these tournaments. So the first episode we record, we'll have 4 captains who will be the panel on that show, and they'll be drafting the tournament. They'll be our tournament selection committee, basically, drafting experiences into the tournament format. We'll just take everything they draft in order and turn it into a big tournament S-curve, right, and lay out the brackets that way. So hopefully the idea is that by doing that, a lot of these tournaments get divided like by park, or they get divided by some other artificial category. And we wanted to make it as sort of open as possible. Like if the best 4 attractions are all roller coasters, then that's okay. We don't want to eliminate them artificially. Right. So by doing it this way, it should really reflect the sentiments of the community.
Right. That's really cool in a sense of, first off, I think it really kind of gives the idea that there's no one topic in Walt Disney World or Disney in general that is a once and done topic. You can come back Absolutely. To it later because it is constantly evolving over time. So the things that all of us talk about, it may sound like, oh, they're talking about resorts again, or they're talking about food again. But if you stop and you really listen, you're like, wait a second. There's the resorts have changed dramatically in the past 10 years. Food has changed dramatically in the past 10 years. The parks themselves have changed dramatically in the past 10 years. Heck, parks themselves have changed dramatically in the past 5 years. And for the next 5 years, it's going to change a whole heck of a lot more. So, I realize we all have some of our favorites, like, for restaurants, Cali Grill is always going to forever be in my heart as like the place that if I had no budget, I'd like, I'll take the left side of the menu, please. But, it is kind of cool that you can do those kinds of tournaments and have it, evolve over the course of the tournament itself. And, those are actually really cool. Those are fun. Danny and I actually tried to do that with like the March Madness bracket with Disney movies. And
it was fun. We had a good time doing that.
It was a lot of fun, but it was also
but I'll be honest, what is it? What's the famous line you always say? Copying someone is, form of flattery.
Form of flattery.
And this is the man right here that I'm pointing at. He's the one that we took this idea from and said, okay, I love his format. We have very different shows, and he has a panel show, and our show is just me and Chris. So how can we do what he does, but incorporate me and Chris only, and then have our listeners basically just like, because, okay, let me break this down real quick. When there was ever a tie on Aaron's show, and I was involved in, I swear it had to be a record of how many ties we had, because I always try to unbearable for people because that's just what I do. It went to the audience. And of course, just like when we had me and Chris's championship, we didn't decide the champion. We let you guys decide the champion. And just like how I sat there and was screaming for Toy Story to win, I would do that on Aaron's page with turkey legs or corn dog nugget. I was always I would pull the grenade.
How successful were you there at that, Danny?
I was like 0-4. All right. Nobody wanted. On my own page, I win. So I guess, I got a little home field advantage here. But
oh my gosh, that's horrible.
Yeah, on Aaron's. And I had a blast, and I would love to do it again. But yeah, I was hot. I'm my batting average there. I'm in the single A's.
Well, I mean, it's funny because, I think each of us have, just based on our formats, right, a different strength when it comes to doing these tournament shows. Because you're right, whenever we have these ties, I try to throw it to the audience to break a tie, but it's a little more complex logistically for me to do it because we generally don't broadcast live. You guys are always live. People are used to coming to you live. And so, you've always got an audience there ready to cast those votes. Whereas with us, for a long time there, we were doing a once a month live show. But because that's not what we do all the time, the technical issues really were getting to be more than they were worth to deal with. And so we actually haven't done a live show in a while. I don't know. I've been playing with maybe we try and do the culmination of this tournament live again, but I'm not there yet.
Well, it's tough too because me and Chris have went out, and just like yourself, we, the main people who do the podcast, we've always invested a lot of money into our equipment. I mean, I've went out and I went above and beyond, and I built a computer that it's a monster computer. I had no reason to build it, but I was like, hey, why not? Let me build this thing. It could run a car if I had to. And it's tough for you because when you start bringing in, you put out the link and say, who wants to join? You get a lot of regulars in there, but you get a lot of people who might not have the best camera or, might be using, Apple headphones and their audio is not as good. So you have a logistical nightmare when it comes to going live,
Right. Well, and that's what I was actually just getting to, which is you guys have the advantage of being live. My advantage is that I've always got a panel and I've got enough, variety of the voices and things on that panel, which is, to me, has always been the strength of the show is the panel participants, right? Because we bring in, at last count, we'd had over 200 people who had participated in the show. And it just brings, 200 different perspectives. And I'm just glancing now, I see, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got like a dozen people who at some point are going to be participating in the in this tournament show coming up. So, we get those different perspectives on the show. But just like you said, everybody has different different technical stuff. They have different microphone situations, and it's just a very different situation. But again, I get the benefit of those different perspectives actually recording on the show. You get the benefit of the live audience. So I don't know. We'll talk after this. You've got me, thinking now about how we could do maybe something for the championship of this tournament here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great things out there. We were the first Disney podcast to use the broadcasting service that we use. And I mean, listen, like anything in technology, you could see we've been live for going on, 3-4 hours now, and my camera's now becoming jittery. So we know that probably after this segment, we're going to have to reset everything. And it is a logistical nightmare because, like I said before, we have over 75 shares on the show right now. So now we're going to be going to Call of Arms and saying, okay, we need more people to share. Now, granted, most of the time, you don't really stay as long. So, like Aaron's picture's coming in great. As you can see, me and Chris, for some reason, we are just getting pixelated like crazy over here. But we are one of the top echelon shows when it comes to live viewers. And, we don't toot our own horn often, but on this case, I'm going to toot my own horn. We're the number 2 most viewed show when it comes to live videos. when it comes to downloads and a regular podcast, we're just a small fish in a big pond. The Diz Dads, you might say, wow, I've never heard of them. They must be small. They're not. They're a big time show. They've been on the news and noteworthy on iTunes for what? You've got to be there for almost 3 years now. You've been there as long as I can remember. God only knows how iTunes does that, but
yeah, well, and that cracks me up because I got to be honest, I don't know the last time I've looked at that.
Yeah,
I think a lot of times, we tend to get like phases of obsession with what is showing up on iTunes. It's like sometimes it's like, oh great, and it's like,
I've seen you in news and noteworthy for the last 3 years, just always up there. I've seen you come and go in the what's hot section, and I've seen your name in the top, not even the top 100, the top 50 travel and places section of the podcast numerous times in the top 50, where our show's only been up there twice. God only knows. I mean, we've climbed the number 8, and for the last, I would say, 6 months, we haven't even been ranked. So there's an odd algorithm there, but it goes to show you've been able to stay in there for whatever reason the algorithm is. You have the numbers, and that just goes to show you how diverse of a platform podcasting can be, where people view us as this monster of a show. And then you have your viewers that are like, well, we don't watch live podcasts. We only listen to podcasts. And the Diz Dads is this monster of a show. And I think that's what makes the world, the podcasting world go round. So definitely take a moment out of your day. Go subscribe to the Diz Dads podcast over on iTunes, or wherever you might listen to. Check them out on Facebook, because if you like our show and you like when me and Chris debate, that is their show all the time. And they do a phenomenal job at it. And the nice thing is, you hear the same voice in Aaron there all the time, but you get so many different people on that panel, and whether you can relate to them or they're just someone in a completely demographic as you, there is always a new voice on that show, and it's always such a pleasant experience to listen to them.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate that a lot. We decided early on when we started the show, to be honest, we started the show as much as anything else because we liked to hear ourselves talk. We didn't so much care whether anybody was listening at first.
That's how every show should start. That's the God honest truth. He just said it. Don't worry about your numbers. Like I said today, I don't care how many people we view us today. That's not the purpose of it. And when you first start a podcast, it should be for all fun. Just have a blast. If one person listens to you or a million people listen to you, it doesn't matter. Because when I first started, I never in my wildest dreams people would care what I had to say about a topic. Yep. And we have people message us every day. Hey, I want your opinion. How do I do this? And it's astonishing. And we thank everybody. And I know, you have the same, thoughts on that.
Yeah. I mean, the part that always got me is, when I actually did, after we'd been on for a while, and as much because I needed to confirm that, my web host that was complaining about my data usage wasn't, just making stuff up, right? I had to check the stats and see. And I mean, when I saw I use a service called Blueberry to handle statistics and all that. And when I saw the map from Blueberry that showed, where people were listening to the show,
that's crazy.
Whoa!
I know we actually recently switched providers ourselves, and the funny part is that, first off, it was a fiasco to get things switched over to provide. It was we were actually off the air from the podcast part for over 2 months.
Wow.
And it was thank you to everybody who has stuck with us through that crap, because it really sucked. But once we finally started looking at the Podbean stats, it was like, wait a second, we have listeners that are literally in all the corners of the world.
Yeah.
And we have people that we're showing multiple downloads in multiple corners of the world. In fact, I saw we have people watching us right now from the UK. And, so obviously there's a big spread of people that watch us. And you know what? And I know that when I say that, it's not unique, because that's the awesome part about podcasting, is that it does transcend across, geographic lines really easily. And, like you kind of had the expression of, wow, how many people, watch us in all these other countries. We thought the same thing. And I know that there are other podcasters that, celebrate the fact that their shows get international exposure. And you know what? That's just really cool. And we're actually honored that I think that we have people that want to listen to us, from all corners of this earth, which, and there was one time someone once thought that podcasting was going to be dead. And I kind of said,
I was told that numerous times.
Why are you doing a podcast? Don't you know podcasting's dead? I'm like, bring it on.
It just started. Started.
Well, so here's the one that cracks me up. And,
Sure.
and I just saw this and I didn't even realize it before, but I mean, we've got some dads in Canada who are on the show fairly regularly in some cases. And I was just glancing at numbers. We've got, like only about 1,000 more total downloads in Canada than we do in Japan.
Wow.
Apparently we're big in Japan.
Yeah.
Who knew?
I mean, when we were just chatting, I decided to just pull up our stats real quick.
I knew you were going to do it. You are obsessive with that.
I am the numbers. I literally, I will spend my lunch break. I've downloaded apps on my phone to track things while I'm at work so I can see. I'm crazy about that. United States, Canada, awesome. The UK has been climbing. There are number 3 right now in total downloads. Listen to this list real quick. Australia, Ireland, Spain, Germany, Mexico, New Zealand, Belgium, South Africa, Brazil, Kazakhstan, Puerto Rico, United Arab, Bangladesh, China, Denmark, Japan, Netherlands, Russian Federation, Thailand, Turkey, and the Ukraine. Are you kidding me? That's crazy.
And there's in my opinion, there is no other broadcasting format that can stretch through those boundaries as easily as podcasting, because one, it's for the most part, there are people that do video podcasts, but for the most part, it's an audio only. And there's a lot of people that are data constrained. And so they can listen to things a lot easier than they can watch a live stream like we're doing right now.
Right. Well, and it's so portable. I mean, for me, I actually, it's kind of almost funny that, I almost feel bad, I guess is the way I would put it. I used to listen to a lot of podcasts because I used to have an hour or so of commuting time every day, right? I had a half-hour commute into work, a half-hour commute back, and I might listen during lunch at work too. But now I run my own business, and my commute to the office is, 30 seconds, 45 if I trip on my way down the stairs. And so, I mean, there's some good short form podcasts out there, but none of them in the 45-second range. So I find that I really just don't listen as much. And I have lately in particular been trying to make a more concerted effort of making sure that I make time for myself to listen to some of these other shows, because there's great content out there. And it helps me stay fully informed to listen to these other perspectives. Because, I won't lie, I've for years have taken advantage of the fact that I get all these great alternative perspectives from recording the Diz Dads podcast. I mean, it makes me a more informed, travel professional to have those different perspectives. But I've had to make a more concerted effort now that I don't have a daily commute to, spend the time listening to the content that's being created by some other, really great committed folks.
Speaking of your business, why don't you touch on that a little bit for anybody who's looking to book a trip, maybe need some help with it? Go right ahead, please.
Oh, sure. I guess I'll plug away a little bit. So we're just now approaching I guess it'll be officially the 3rd anniversary of Fantastic Memories Travel, which is the larger travel company. It's the travel agency I started back in July of 2015. And we have a specialty brand, Mousemaster Travel. Mousemaster Travel is now an authorized Disney vacation planner, part of Disney's earmarked program. We've grown very rapidly over our 3 years of existence. And it's been a really exciting ride. I work with about 15 independent contractor agents all over the country. We're growing every month. And it's been a lot of fun. We're committed to family leisure travel anywhere in the world. And Mousemaster Travel is our brand to focus on that family leisure travel when it's Disney destinations.
Yeah. I know a lot of people had always come to me and said, "Hey, I want to book a trip." I actually work with Aaron. Now, granted, I will admit I kind of went gung ho the first month, and I've kind of slowed down a little bit. And we're the type of show we never, when they were our sponsors for many, well over a year, and we used to push them, and you don't hear much travel agent stuff coming out of us. And that's just because I personally have been so busy, I haven't been able to do it. But I mean, I've had people come up to me in the more recent past and said, "Hey, Danny, can you book me a trip?" And I'm honest with them. I said, "Listen, I'm way too busy at this exact moment to do it, but go to the parent company, which is Mouse Master Travel, and book through them." You're gonna get a high level of information. And yes, could you go on Disney's site and do it yourself? Sure. But this takes the stressful part out by going to them. They charge you nothing extra. It is the same price.
And the big thing we tell people is, I think there's a myth out there that working with a travel agent means turning your trip over to somebody else. And I think that you do yourself a disservice when you look at it that way, because it's really a matter of having a second pair of eyes and hands and somebody else's alarm clock, right? To help with the things that are just inconvenient. And we're here, we're knowledgeable, we stay informed. I just got back from Walt Disney World. I was there for the Earmarked Owners Summit. So, getting more information that I can use to make sure that people are making choices that are informed choices. And so working with an agent, you give up as little or as much control as you want. If you are one of those people that want to do everything yourself, you want to be, on your computer at 5 a.m. Central Time to get those ADRs made, by all means, go for it. On the other hand, if you want to make all the choices, but let it be somebody else's problem to be up at 5 a.m., work with an agent. If you don't want to have to mess with one of the best examples, we had a round of discounts that came out just a couple of weeks ago. And my agents and I were up at the crack of dawn on the phones, on the system online, getting reservations modified as we could. Our clients didn't even have to send anything to us saying, "Can you get this for me?" Instead, they got emails from us saying, "Oh, by the way, your final payment is going to be $400 less."
It's awesome.
It's just done.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think you hit it on the head. There are people that would say, "I don't want to have someone else control my stuff. I want to be in control." And I think there is a difference. When you have a team of people that can work with you to get the best vacation possible, I think, there's something to be said about that. It's very similar to saying, here, a great example. Back long time ago, my wife and I were trying to get ADRs for Cinderella's Royal Table. And so, that was a time before you can do it on your computer, before you could do it through an app. And we really didn't know much about travel agents at that time. My wife is on one phone and her cell phone. I'm on my office phone and my cell phone. And we're all hitting redial at 5:00 in the morning in order to try to get, those reservations. We've got them, but it took two of us with 4 phones in order to do it. Now, granted, technology has obviously gotten better. And, travel agents such as Aaron are able to, really help guests get a better experience, no additional cost. And at the same time, they love what they do. So, this is just one of those cases where, I always recommend that if you really want to try to get more out of it, especially if you don't have a lot of time. I mean, let's face it, not everybody has time to be getting up at the crack of dawn to do some of the things that you have to do to plan for your trip. And if you can get someone to team up with you and to partner with, then you find yourself a good travel agent like Aaron over at Mouse Master Travel.
Yeah. And somebody in the chat I just noticed was posting about cost. With us at least, and different agencies all, to be fair, work under different models. Everybody has their own approach. For us, we don't charge any fees as long as we're handling what we would refer to as commissionable travel for you. The vast majority of travel destinations pay a commission to travel agents, and it's all built into the pricing. So there's no fee for it. You don't pay any less if you book directly with them. They just, for example, with Walt Disney World, basically oversimplifying slightly, but you pay for that vacation with by calling directly to Walt Disney World, and Walt Disney Travel Company absorbs the commission. So it's the same amount. It's already there. It's all built in. So it really doesn't cost you anything as long as you're booking commissionable travel. I will say that we had an increase over the last year or so of people who already had like they had family owned vacation property nearby, or they're DVC members or somebody like that. So they couldn't really book commissionable travel through us. And we actually started offering a planning only service. And we do charge for the planning only service. You can find it on our website, mousemastertravel.com, because there's some detail about what it costs for different services. But, it's roughly speaking, if you wanted the everything we do kind of service, what it really means is that you have access to it, but you pay about $250 for what the clients who book commissionable travel with us get for free.
There you go.
Okay.
I was not aware of that. That's actually that puts it all in perspective.
Right. And it's a fairly new service. We had enough people coming and asking for help, but in a position where they had already committed themselves to, already covered the kinds of things that we could have done for which we could have gotten a commission. And we love Disney. We love our travel guests, but we can't afford to work for free. So it was a way to kind of balance that and give people access to the service when they had other avenues of funding their vacation.
Cool. Absolutely. I totally get it. Well, I'll tell you what, Aaron, we're actually at the end of our time together. It's always great talking with you. It's great listening to the show. And I really hope people, really have a better understanding of, travel agent involvement as well. I think that's really cool. By all means, why don't you go ahead and throw out your website and Facebook pages really quick, and we'll go ahead and wrap up.
All right. Well, thanks again so much for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity. I think you're doing great work here. Give Kids the World is a great charitable organization, and those of us at DizDads.com have been supporting it for a long time as well. So the podcast is at DizDads.com. The travel agency Disney destination information can be found at mousemastertravel.com. The fantasticmemoriestravel.com website is in development. It should launch, still hoping to have everything live by the end of the month. But you can also find both Mouse Master Travel and Fantastic Memories Travel on Facebook. Just Mouse Master Travel or Fantastic Memories Travel. Search for either of those and they should come right up.
Yeah, I've actually seen about 3 or 4 people just from having you come talk have already liked the Mouse Master Travel page. So, awesome. Thank you once again for coming on. Big supporter of not only Mouse Master Travel, but the Diz Dads podcast. And we look forward to talking to you again, Aaron.
I look forward to it.
Have a good day, Aaron.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Always good. Always good. Sorry, I know I pulled my phone up. I was trying to take a picture for Instagram.
I'm glad I really like talking with Aaron. I really enjoy the Diz Dads podcast. And I'll go ahead and say this as well. I know that we kind of plug the WDW community page a lot, and we do plug it as, a really friendly Facebook page for Disney fans, lovers alike. And, the thing is that the Diz Dads group that, people watch, people who I met through some of the different panels. I gotta be honest with you. The people that are usually a part of that are, well, I shouldn't say usually. I've not met a single person through Aaron's show that, I always feel comfortable talking with them because they're just a great group of people. They're always welcoming. They like to have a good time. They have, it could be kind of funny once in a while, but, it's just really cool, to get to know people like that through those types of interactions. So, it's really pretty awesome. I'll tell you what, in just about 10, 12 minutes, depending on which clock I think is right. Why is it that my clock on my computer is always wrong? Why? I don't know why. It's supposed to be getting its time from the time database server in Colorado. I don't understand it. Anyway, coming up next on the Marathon Show.
You did that great though. Before you did your little voice, that just coming up, dude. I'm gonna clip that for later.
Coming up for tonight's show, we actually have Leanne from Lemon Sisters. They're going to be joining us after all, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
We're going to talk to them a little bit, not just about some of their products, but also going to hang out a little bit with her, talk about their love for Disney and some of the things they do. We've had them on the show before. They've been, let's put it this way. They're not a sponsor of our show, and that's okay, because we have some, mutual fun with what we do with our products and this, that, and the other. And sometimes it's not about being a sponsor. Sometimes it's just about being a partner and loving Disney and the things that we do. And we instantly connected with them at the Indy Disney meet, and we just think that they are awesome people. They're locals to Indy, which, of course, in my opinion, make them even more awesome because they're fellow Hoosiers. But that's beside the point. We're going to have them coming up here in just a few moments. Oh, Danny, according to my clicker here, it's like we've been going for 3 hours. We have about another hour right after we talk to Leanne. We are going to have to do a reset. And it's right before we end up talking with, let me try it again. See, we're live, we're unedited. That's a whole shot. We will have to do a reset after we talk to Leanne, before we talk to Whitney, and that way everything is nice and fresh, because I am starting to see a small delay in my own feed, which tells me Facebook is gonna puke. So
we're already seeing some technical difficulties on people trying to get in the show.
And just understand, everybody, it's most likely not you. It's most likely a Facebook thing. We apologize on their behalf. No, wait, hold on a second. I'm not going to apologize on Facebook's behalf.
No, you ain't getting an apology from me, Facebook.
No, I'm not going to do it.
You apologize to me.
Hashtag free Danny. I'm going to get a bumper sticker that says that. Hashtag free Danny. So
I'm gonna spit out my iced tea. All right. While we're here, let's give a shout out here. We'd like to we have over 80 shares on this show, so bear with me. The Big Onion Club in Disney, Lindsay, Jenny, Jessica, Kevin, Tim, Leanne, Stacy. Once again, the Lemon Sisters, Ryan, Streaming the Magic. We have Chris Salata sharing the show via Danny D'Angelo. Funny how that works. I shared the show. Expedition Roasters, Anita, Walt Disney World Tips and Tricks, Angie, the WDW community. We have more, but for some reason, Facebook was like, hey, I'm not going to allow you to talk about that right now. So I'm going to try and refresh that. We'll get back to those people here in a second. We do have an update on our total. We have just broken the $1,400 mark. So a big thank you to Nick, Jessica, Albert, Michelle, Lindsay, Indy Disney Me, Carol, Mike, Becky, Brad and Rose, who happen to be my parents, Sandra, Linda, Enrique. Enrique. I got it. Jennifer, Margie, Anita, Steve, Mary, Chris, Maureen, Amanda, Nancy, Jennifer, and Leanna. Thank you all for your generous donations.
Here's the thing. We're only $200 away from what we earned or raised last year. Only $200. Which, let's face it, I think we need to blow this away. We've got plenty of time to do it. We're only about a quarter of the way through this. Not even a quarter of the way through this. And
kind of hurts my soul.
What is your
my body is numb. I should have invested in a more comfy chair.
Oh, I know. Seriously, the chair is all that's there. I mean, you gotta have the chair. And I unfortunately, what the bad part is that this is the chair I sit in already for 10, 12 hours a day working. And it's not like I have a separate chair just for podcast. I have a separate desk for podcasting. I got separate computers for podcasting, separate lighting for podcasting. the chair swivels between my work desk and here. So, but there is one thing, Danny, that I don't have during work.
Your gauntlet. Your giant gauntlet. I've drank 3 of these already, by the way. Wawa iced teas. Oh, they're saving me. I literally bought a case yesterday. Some more mentions. Kurt, Trisha. Let's see. Trisha shared it a bunch of times. Thank you. Teresa, Christine, Tammy. Over at the Disney Valley Resorts, a magical guide, the Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort, Disney's Port Orleans Resort, Disney's Coronado Springs Resort. Janine, Joshua, Jessica, Kevin, Jamie, Tim, Lynn, Leanne, Arendelle Prince, Rebecca, Diz Ninjas, Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge, Saratoga Springs and Old Key West, Coronado Springs, Disney's Valley Resorts, Disney's Wilderness Cabins. We have Stacy for Disney fans of Western New York, the WNH. Magical Guide to Disney Springs. We have the Caribbean Beach Resort, Disney's Guide to Animal Kingdom, the Magical Guide to the Magic Kingdom. Once again, the Big Onion Club, the Lemon Sisters, Ryan Lehman, Streaming the Magic. Magical Guide to Disney's Hollywood Studios, Miss Salada in the building, everybody. Disney's Epcot Area Resorts. Chris Salada sharing that show. Uncle Danny sharing that show. I realized I never shared it to the Uncle Danny page. Whoops. Disney Vacation to Florida and Beyond. Expedition Roasters. Disney Parks People, which is actually run by Ryan Lehman over there. I apologize. My throat is getting very dry. The Disney Nerds, Disney Dreamers, Mary, Jessica, Walt Disney World Made Easy for Everyone, Belinda, Anita. Let's see. The Walt Disney World Tips and Tricks, Disney Nation, Walt Disney World Enthusiastic, Hilariously Disney, Wonderful World of Disney, Christine. I don't give last names because, why? Angie. We have Maureen. Sorry, Facebook is just loading slow here. Lynn. And I think we're kind of getting into the same people here because Facebook doesn't auto-generate it like they should. Like I said, we are over 80 shares and strong. It looks like we have a couple more people gearing up to share it over on some other pages that we just haven't been able to get into yet. Once again, we are over $1,400. We have hit 70% of our goal. We are just shy of $200 away from last year's goal.
Now, keep in mind, if I'm not mistaken, our goal, I can't remember what I said to have Give Kids World set as our goal, but just because we meet our goal, we don't stop. We're going to keep. Oh
God, no.
And I really hope that people really consider this. I'll be honest with you. I am just really, I'm happily floored at the idea that we have raised so much so far. And I just really hope that everybody understands that they are really making a big difference in somebody's life. It's not something that, none of this that's being raised is coming to us at all. We're just doing this because we love it and we love this cause. So that is actually really super duper cool. We've got a couple minutes.
I'd like to give something away.
You want to give something away?
We haven't done something yet, and I feel like we should give something away. Most of the giveaways you have, I have a couple tricks up my sleeve for later in the show.
Ooh.
I do. So, but first up, why don't you give something away because I'm going to save mine for later because I have to find them in my closet.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, I'm not fully prepared, but let me do this. Let me go over. Let me do this.
Well, he's doing that. I see, Kevin had asked a question. I just scrolled past it. If you could pick only one of the All-Stars to stay at, which would it be? I know someone responded with, Pop. No, he said only the stars. So All-Star Music, All-Star Movies, All-Star Sports. So that would exclude Pop and Art of Animation. I'm a sports guy. I love it. I stayed there. It was a little underwhelming. I think it really needs some major updating. I think they all need some major updating, if you ask me. Just based on theming, I think I'm gonna shock people. I'm gonna go movies. I really like the decor there. I like the giant Buzz Lightyear. Who am I kidding?
The thing is, I'm a big movie fan, so I love movies. I think that's actually really super cool. You know what? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put some of these. Hold on a second. My biggest problem is I'm trying to get our list of people. And I have a feeling I am going to need a little bit more time. But I'm going to tell you what.
Well, how were you trying to do it? Oh, by the way, we have just broken 15.
I just saw that. It popped up on my screen. I'm like, oh, hello. And now I figured out, now that I can actually do simple math, if we've just broken $1,500 and it's 75% of our goal, simple math, thank you, public education, also now tells me that our goal that they set for us was $2,000, which I just think we can.
I think we could blow past that. I think we should blow past that.
I'll tell you what. Tell you what I'm going to do. But I'm going to need a quick moment.
Okay.
So here's the deal. I can't find. Hold on.
I'm running out of iced tea, people. Literally. Okay. All right. So I've drank this entire thing of ice water. Still some ice left in it. This is my third iced tea. I've had 3 cups of coffee and a Canada Dry, and I've only used the bathroom once.
Uh-oh. So I know what's going to happen after
that. A bladder of champions.
So here's the deal. And Danny, you may want to write this down.
All right. Hold on. Don't have a pen. So we're going to go to the handy dandy Microsoft Word tab I have readily available.
Here, I'm going to put this in a message to you.
Okay. So I don't have to write anything down. Okay.
But here's the deal. I want people to send a text message to our hotline, 321-430-2283. Danny's going to put that on the screen, 321-430-2283. In the next 5 minutes, the first person that I get a text message from will get a set of mini ears. Or, they're all mini. They're basically mini ears or holiday ears. I will go ahead and pick one out for you. You get a set of ears. I'll ship them out to you after the show. That number again, 321-430-2283. I'm just going to go ahead and give away a pair of ears. It's going to be really cool. And a couple of them even light up. It's kind of awesome. So go ahead, send a text message, 321-430-2283. That offer is valid until our next guest comes on in just a couple minutes. Once that guest comes on, I will not be taking any more additional calls.
I think we already got one.
Oh, my phone is now going crazy. Hold on a second.
We got 2 at the same time.
I'll tell you what. I will go through this. I have another console going. I'll probably pull it up. So we actually have a winner for that. I will check that out in a minute. That's awesome. Yeah, I better move my phone to a place where it doesn't buzz and get picked up by the microphone. Thank you so much. I will go ahead and check that out in a moment. That is the number that we're going to be using for other contests today. So by all means, keep that handy.